Happy Sunday, everybody. This is 12 Gauge. Like to get on here to do a little podcast. Um, Not really talk about true crime or substance abuse or anything like that. Just want to get on here and kind of talk about some of the things that are going on in this world. You know, many times it seems like when you wake up, there's always some kind of catastrophe that happened, something that's going on in the world that causes a lot of chaos, a lot of things that really make you feel like you're not safe anymore, like you have a lot of fear going on, you have a lot of questions, you have a lot of misunderstandings about how life really is, we could do one or two things. We could bury our heads in the sand and act like life it's just one big plethora of tranquility, or we could be realist and understand that it's really not as great as we think it is. You know, when I was younger, and I know that some of you can relate to this a little bit, when you're younger, you have this mentality that, no matter what happens, you can overcome a lot of obstacles, and there's never going to be anything that's going to take you down. Well, I know a lot of people that are struggling financially. I went to the grocery store yesterday and I bought probably, I don't know, I would say they put little items in a bag so it made it look like I had more, but I would say I probably had about 4 bags, if that. And it was like $97. And I know that's cheap on the low end for one person, but it still seemed kind of expensive for the stuff that I bought. I bought like frozen chicken wings and things like that, and mozzarella sticks, the comfort food. So I was just wondering, what the heck, man? $97 for all this? You got to be kidding me. But of course, I paid it. You know what I mean? Because what can you do? What can you do? Um, also, wherever you go, it seems like there's less and less opportunity to get what you really want. I don't know what it's like in your city, but here where I live, it's very monopolized by only having like two grocery stores and a Walmart supercenter. And, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, those types of stores. But I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods. Um, but it just seems like the options just aren't there. There aren't as many opportunities to get what you need. I could go in an hour and a half south and get what I need, or I can go 68 miles to the west and get what I need, but is it really worth it? While I have a moment, I'd like to endorse this, and I hope it's not copyright infringement, but this Celsius stuff is really good. If you haven't tried it, I wouldn't recommend the watermelon berry because it's kind of bland, but the watermelon in itself is delicious. I got it off of Amazon, probably for about, I guess it was like $32 for 12, maybe 15. I don't really remember. I've had it for a while because I really don't care for the berry taste afterwards. I like the watermelon. That's the one that I usually buy in the grocery stores. But like I was saying, groceries are high, bills are high, frustration is high, and it's really sad that we've gotten to this point because I was looking at this old article and it was showing what things were um back in the 70s and 80s, I think some of the prices like for ground beef were like, I don't know, $1.79 for a 5 pound of ground beef. I think eggs were like 39 cents. I mean, they were outrageously low prices, so it makes you think, wow, that's amazing, man. I mean, that is some good prices. Um, but it also makes you understand how the product hasn't really changed. You go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac and you're paying more for it, but the Big Mac has somehow shrank. Look, I have big hands, man. I have big hands. But I remember the Big Mac being about that big around, at least. Now it's probably that big around. It shrank. It's like everything shrinks, but the price goes up. Can anybody relate to that? It's kind of crazy how they they make us feel idiotic by shrinking the product and increasing the prices. You know, um, Houses, apartments, things of that nature. You know, Apartments run in this area probably about $1,500 at the high end, probably 2,000 for like 2 and 3 bedrooms. They're not any nicer than the apartment they probably built 30 years ago. They're not any roomier. Like I said, it seems like everything shrinks and the price goes up. Look at the vehicles that we drive, the trucks. I have a Toyota Tundra and I bought it, probably around 2015, I guess. So I've had it for a little bit. But still, it's a roomy truck. Now I go to the Toyota dealership and I look at the new Tundras and they've shrank everything. And their explanation is, well, we made the truck bed longer. Okay, well, I was cool with the truck bed as being an 8 footer. I was good with that. You know, you didn't have to shrink the truck in order to make the truck bed longer. I was cool with that. Can anybody relate to all this stuff that I'm talking about right now? I'm sure you can. And I'm sure you have your own frustration as well because, unless you're uber rich, Uber, that's a big word from a while back. You're struggling just like everybody else. And it really doesn't pay to complain about it, but we can get a different president in the White House hopefully. And I'm not making this political, but hopefully we can get somebody that is for the people instead of feeling like they're against the people and they want to send a lot of money overseas rather than helping the people that live in this country. Okay, I'd like to show you a little bit. It says the collapse of a city that's lost control. What century is this? It's the 21st it's the 21st century and the largest city of a state that ranks among the world's most robust economies. Or did someone turn back the calendar a few hundred years? Sidewalks have disappeared, hidden by tents and kinds of makeshift shanties you see in third world places. Look at that, guys. Let's see if I can blow this up a little bit. Look at that. Tent City. And it's all over. Look at that. Trash, tents, old cars. There's somebody sleeping on the ground. Somebody walking by with whatever they found. And I got on this podcast today so that I can voice my opinions, where I can voice my beliefs instead of having to censor what I say on my other channels. I mean, can you imagine living in filth like this? And they wonder why there's so many diseases and pandemic type stuff that is spreading around our world so quickly. The biggest city close to me is Austin, so it used to look like this until they stopped catering to the homeless. And I don't know where they put them or where they directed them, but it used to be all downtown. It used to be all along the medians. Wherever you turned, you'd see homeless people in their tents. Just very sad. But you still wonder, okay, they have nothing, but they have all that stuff around them. What's in those bags? What did they get in those bags that just made them throw all that trash everywhere? You couldn't pay me enough. I mean, if I had to do it, I would do it. I'd have no other choice. But just to do it voluntarily so I didn't have to pay bills or have to um, be obligated by the government and things of that nature, nah, you couldn't pay me enough. Because that just disgusting. And I'm not trying to get on my high horse here because I know people have it bad. I know some people that have had it bad, that have been homeless. But were they homeless because of choice or poor choices? Did they pay their bills? Did they blow their money on other things? Or was it something that just got out of control and it got bigger? Their financial issues got bigger than they could manifest, and they ended up homeless. You know, um, I've worked in social services for a long time, and I've seen people that struggle, especially people on parole. There's a lot of apartments that won't rent to them. There's a lot of jobs that won't hire them. There's a lot of things that they can't just get what normal people can go out and get. You know what I mean? So they struggle. But the resilient ones continue to do what they need to do in order to get what they need met. I just wonder if, even if some of these individuals that are living in tent cities, even if they're working, I wonder if they're saving their money. I wonder if they're trying to get out of that or if they're just using it in other ways. Because I mean, you need electricity to cook unless you're one of those individuals that can do it off the land, and I don't know that there's very many of those people left in society but I'm sure there is. Burn a fire, get a grill, um, topper or whatever, and cook your meat. I mean, it's not going to be that hard. But after a while, who want to cook their stuff outside all the time? I guess there's certain people that do. I guess there's certain people that don't mind the struggle. They want to live off the grid. They don't want to have to follow rules and laws and things of that nature. Um, it's just sad. It's just sad, and it's not going to get any better, I don't think, until we have a reform on the direction that we're going in this economy. Hopefully, it gets better for people. Hopefully, it does. I hope that they do get out of their struggle and they get to an area back to their comfort because, nobody deserved to be living on the street. And it's not just that, is, if you're living on the street, you're forced to steal people's water, electricity. You're doing all kinds of criminal stuff that's eventually going to land you in jail because you're being a criminal at that point because you're trying to take care of yourself, but that's the best way you know how, so you're breaking the law. It's a sad state. Another thing I want to talk about today is juveniles, adolescents, and parenting. You know, as I work with juveniles, and most of the time you see where they get their understanding about life from is the parents. For those in the back, the parents. The parents are the ones that make or break the child. And this kind of goes along with what I was just saying. The parents are having to work longer hours, they're having to work longer, more jobs in order to make it. So the kids are there left to raise themselves pretty much. And no knock against the parents. I don't want you to think that I'm knocking against people that work hard because I'm not. I'm just saying that you can't feed one side and neglect the other and expect it to be equal. Because eventually somebody has to pick up the slack for that side that you're neglecting. There's juveniles that can't read, they can't problem solve, they don't understand impulse control, they don't understand decisions and good choices. All they know is fun. Is this fun? Is this going to be fun? Is this going to stimulate my limbic system where pleasure is going to be the end game? That's all they really understand. And if you get in the way of that, they don't like it. They rebel and become very defiant. They become very antisocial. And a lot of times they um they rebel against the system. They're already well versed in the lingo of the streets. They're already well versed in the mentality of get it quick, don't have to work for it. You know what I've noticed in a lot of juveniles these days is if they can't do something perfect the first time they're understanding, they quit. They quit. And if they don't quit, they'd rather look good losing than looking bad learning it. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's the generation we have these days, where everybody gets a participation ribbon. You showed up, so you get almost the same as the person who stayed 3 weeks after school working on their program and working on their project. You just showed up, so here you go. You get the same type of ribbon. Way to go. That just shows people that they don't have to try hard, that they don't have to really put effort into something long term because you're going to give it to them anyway. So why should I try hard? You know, disrespect is another thing that the younger generation seems to excel at. I don't know how many times a day I say thank you, you're welcome, no ma'am, no sir. And anytime that you say thank you to a younger person or you're welcome, you get this. Crickets. Silence. It's almost like they don't understand that you actually acknowledge something that they did well. And it's almost like they feel that if they tell you you're welcome, they're doing something against what they really feel. Many people, including juveniles, are ran these days on their feelings. They don't know what to do when they're not in their feelings. In their feelings. Because that's what you hear all the time. I feel this, I feel that. Well, your feelings will lie to you. Your feelings will deceive you. Your feelings will make you more important to yourself than you really are. Your feelings will make you fall for things that are not real. And then later on, when you're trying to understand what happened, your feelings will destroy you until you're able to bounce back. You know, I hope some of this stuff that I'm talking about today resonates with people. I'm trying to get that light glare out of my glasses. That it resonates with people because it's stuff that needs to be heard. It's stuff that needs to be said. And I can say it a million times every day, all day, but people are going to be having that mentality. Well, that's not me. That's not my kid. That's not my disrespect. I don't disrespect people. I show them respect and, all these good things. But do you? When was the last time you lost it with somebody over something trivial? When was the last time that you thought, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm not going to bend because I deserve this moment? That's a lot of energy to waste on fighting, arguing, and disagreeing. Wasting. You know, I hope that you are able to understand that the world doesn't revolve around you, and it sure as heck doesn't revolve around me. But I'm smart enough to know how to play well with others. You get that? Play well with others like we're children again? Because a lot of times, everything we learned in kindergarten. If you take a look at it, we just forgot how to apply these things. We have people in their 40s and 30s and 50s talking like kids, using the same slang, or using slogans to finish their sentences. I do not own the right to that song. It's just a ringtone before I get flagged for copyright infringement. Using slang that younger kids use does not make you look cool and makes you sound stupid whenever you're trying to carry on a conversation with somebody and you don't know how to communicate other than by using slang or by using descriptive words. The less intelligent someone is, the more, the less descriptive they use their sentences. Have you ever been talking with somebody and everybody that they describe, they give some kind of cartoon character or some kind of movie character to that person? That tells you their mentality. They cannot articulate word to describe somebody, so they're going to give you a picture. Oh, that looks like Mr. Magoo. Or that looks like this and that and the other. And they start laughing about it because they think that they're humorous, where in reality, it's just ignorance. You know, you ask somebody a question, they don't know how to respond these days. They don't have a very understanding about what they need to respond with. So they'll either shake their head or they'll give a very shallow response. I hope that if you're dealing with any of these things that you really understand that you're fighting a battle that starts at home and ends at home. I hope that you take control over these idiocracies, because if not, these individuals are going to continue to grow into adult forms of just a walking poster child for ignorance. They're going to have problems getting jobs, keeping jobs, and getting along with others. And that brings me to another point. I have some juveniles that have told me, well, I can't work there. My enemies work there. I can't work there. My enemies work there. There's only like 7 or 8 fast food places here. And if you can't work at any of them because your enemies work there, what kind of world do we live in where you have enemies like that? Where you're constantly in a battle with somebody else because you don't know how to close that disagreement without continuing it to be me versus you. And that kind of sums up everything. Is a lot of these children are being raised by families that have been incarcerated in jail or in a criminal element in this area. So most of their children are very criminal minded. They're all about talking and dressing and representing an illusion where they think that they're above everyone else. Take control. Guide your kids. Take care of yourself. And try to do better, America. Because our communities are failing. They're falling by the wayside. They're becoming trash dumps. It's okay to be a bomb. It's okay to be off the grid. It's okay to do things to destroy others. But it's not okay. It is a reflection of a mentality that has to change. And I hope that I'm not sounding like the elders when we were young, when they used to tell us the same thing. Well, one day, if you don't change, this is going to happen. Well, they were right. and it's became more problematic than ever. We don't take care of the ones that are fighting overseas for us. They come home and they need, we give them nothing. But we have people crossing the border every day. We give them everything. A plush stay, a plush place to stay, cell phones, money, even businesses sometimes. How sad is that? How sad is that, America? Well, this is Sunday with 12 gauge, and I'm going to try to do this every week because it honestly does get tiring with the true crime because there's a lot of it, but most of the time people don't want to hear about anything other than the Idaho 4, and there's only so much that you can rehash about that, and I'm not going to be one of those. So hopefully on Sunday mornings I'll be able to get on here and just talk about whatever, and hopefully in time I'll have a co-host. We'll be able to have a constructive banter. Well, until then, have an amazing week coming up. Enjoy the President's day off if you get it. Try to relax. Try to unwind. Try to take care of yourself. Till next time, peace out.